You're listening to the Tony and Josh Show.
Hey guys, this is the Tony and Josh Show, episode, what is it, Josh? 35? 35.
Yeah.
And Josh agreed with me. I don't know why his audio does that. I think it's something with Skype. The audio goes up real high on his side, and then his microphone, you can barely hear him. Say something again, Josh.
Well, I'm saying something, and hopefully the music isn't completely washing me out.
It did on that first go.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Skype doesn't like me. Me and music and Skype, apparently we don't play well together. I don't know what goes.
And I'm hearing talking, so I need to switch my output audio device to my other pair of headsets, my gaming pair of headsets.
Ooh.
Yep, the gaming pair of headsets in which I say things like, careful, I hear a hunter. I think there's a tank around the next corner. And stop taking all the goddamn health packs. It's a team game, you asshole. So, if I didn't already say, this is the pre-show, often comical, often maligned, little discussion that Josh and I go through prior to recording the actual show. So hang in there if you're listening, watching live, or if you are listening, watching on YouTube, the recorded version that we release on Mondays. So if you'd like to be here with us live, which we'd like for you to be, because we're actually having doing the call-in, having the call-in number active. And just for current and future references, it is 267-507-0240, and then you will put in a 6-digit code to gain access. It is 219835. It is a podcast. You can rewind. I recommend you do that, and this time have a pencil ready.
Number 2 pencil, please. I don't know if you saw in the show notes, I did just a tiny little bit of editing down there at the end. I found the actual clip for James Lipton interview there.
Oh yeah.
And I had heard a snippet from that actually yesterday morning, and I was like, oh, well, here, let me add to that. And so I just kind of changed it up a little bit and put in the actual quote and then an actual link to the video if we wanted to play that. I mean, it's all of what is it? Like a minute and 26 seconds long is all it is. It's 26 seconds long.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you going to be playing the audio clip?
Well, I didn't record it, but I have it queued up here, and we can do a test play real quick and see if it'll go through on your end.
Yeah,
all right,
let's do that.
I'm gonna push play right now. Oh, here, let me turn things up here. I'm a little quiet on my end. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say?
Yeah, that's pretty quiet.
They're seating near the front.
I think it's fine.
That's nice.
Played without permission and commercial interruption. Well, I say we get going. What do you think?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
You want to go with them in order, or you want to go with? I don't know very much about the middle one, so I hope you have some information, because I'm just going to be reactive to it and little I know.
I wouldn't say I'm completely versed on it.
Well, you're not the trigger man, I'm sure, but I mean, as long as you got more information than less information than that, and more information than me, that we're okay.
Honestly, I think between the first two, it's likely we're not going to get to the third, kind of like what happened last week. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, do we want to start with are we getting too dependent? Since that's
we can give that a shot and just spend 2 or 3 minutes on it, see what happens with that.
Oh, that's right. These are in reverse order. So we were going to be hitting that one first, right?
Yes.
Because that's the way we say them. We say them in reverse order, and then start with the last one first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I was thinking it was the other way around. I forgot about it.
Yeah, and we don't have to, like, the suicide, depression, the white cop, young black victim stuff. We can, not say that part. We just kind of hit on those main points there.
I know it doesn't sound good. What happened over there? It just really doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, we'll save it for the regular show. All right, so and I gotta read my stuff here. So we'll I'll say my little thing, or you want to read through that first so we don't screw it up this time?
Oh, the top part, hey, everyone welcome.
We'll just start with that and then start doing the chat.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll start reading into that after the music drops a little bit.
Okay.
Where is that? I want to stop that video playing because I'm going to hear that talking, and I'm going to go, who's talking? Oh, that's us on a 30-second delay. Alrighty.
Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh Show may not and most likely is not suitable for all audiences and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now here they are. Oh yeah, Tony and Josh.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 35 of the Tony and Josh Show.
If you like silly humor, bad puns, tech, science,
and the occasional story that crosses your moral boundaries,
then you guys have got to stick around.
Yes, you do. Hey, this is Tony from the infamous Tony and Josh Show.
And this is Josh from the other infamous Tony and Josh Show.
You be in, I'll be famous.
There we go.
I don't know exactly what that means. So this is episode 35. They said it would never live past 15. They were wrong. Well, it probably did die at 15, but we're continuing on.
We're just going to drag this dead horse through the interwebs as long as we possibly can.
Yes. Well, we have improved it by shortening it by 30 minutes, I think, Josh.
Yeah, no, we've switched things up a little bit, and we're actually trying a slightly new format this week as well. So, you guys like what we're doing here, make sure you guys tell a friend.
So I'd like to make a quick announcement. I was chatting with Dan from the 4x4 podcast earlier, and congratulations to no longer Captain Dan, but Major Dan in the U.S. Army. Thank you very much for your service, Dan.
As well, I can't say thank you enough, Dan, and congratulations.
I hear that Dan listens to our podcast while he's running. He is studying for his master's degree, so he has little time to listen to silly things like podcasts. And the only time he has he can do that, I think, is when he's riding his bike to work or running. So he's probably listening to this while he's in mid stride and going, "Oh, one of these guys talking about me."
Well, if you'd like for us to talk about you, maybe perhaps you could give us a call and join in on the live, the live broadcast, or even tweet us during the show at Tony and Josh Show. Interact with us as we stumble across our words.
Hey,
but give us a live call in at 267-507-0240. And once prompted, you're going to need 6 digits to get in, and it's 219-835.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can call in anytime you like. You can call in while you're listening to the podcast, the recorded podcast. We won't be there, but you can still talk. Actually, if I guess we do have a voicemail line. If you would like to talk to us when we're not on the air, you can go over to our website, Tony and Josh Show, and you will see a little pop outside panel there. It's called SpeakPipe, and I guess all the names have been plucked up. All the domains have been plucked up because I don't know really what the hell SpeakPipe means. But basically, it's a little application that allows us to record your comments straight from our website, and then they'll come to us. I or Josh will listen to them, and then we'll stick them on the show for you to listen to and amaze your friends. Hey, that's me. So
get you a little bit of fame and well, maybe not so much fortune, but nonetheless, get you up on the air.
Absolutely. Hey, tonight on the Tony and Josh Show, we have these stories, and the bet is, will we get to all of them or not? I'm saying not. I think Josh agrees with me because Josh and I get a bit wordy.
Oh, we do. We're a little bit long-winded. We do love to talk, and well, we've got some stuff to talk about tonight, and we got some big ones actually. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're going to touch on what's going on in the world of celebrity and Hollywood. And touch on Robin Williams.
Absolutely.
No, he's no longer with us, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. There's also a shooting that happened here recently, where there's a white cop and a young black victim. It seems like a lot of deja vu going on. And are we getting too dependent on computers and smartphones? Of course, that technology is helping us bring you this show right now. So let's go ahead and dive into this stuff right now.
Hey, I'll just mention really quick. I'm a little older than you, Josh, and I remember when there was no such thing as a handheld calculator. I was a kid whenever there was not handheld calculators, and then all of a sudden there was, and they were like $400 for your basic easy peasy cheesy calculator when they first came out. And I'm not talking about the HPs. I'm just talking about the really things that you get for free now in the mail. So one of the things that was repeated over and over again was, we're going to forget how to do math in our heads because we're going to have these little handheld jobs that we can do math. People are going to stop remembering how to do math. That's what it was. So, and this is more of the same as far as I look at it. It's just, I think these are just devices that help you extend your ability to do things and waste less time on trying to do the things that would be harder to do if you didn't have the device. It's just a tool. It's like using a hammer. Well, these kids today, they're going to forget how to whittle a peg and beat it into a tree to make a log cabin type thing.
Although when I was going to school, there were calculators. They were handheld. I don't remember them being cheap, but I do remember teachers not allowing us to use them very often. I do also remember when the first wristwatch calculator, the wrist calculator came out, and that was just the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are in an age of technology, and of course, as we are all aware, it's advancing by leaps and bounds. And it seems like just 10 years ago, cell phones were giant bricks. Obviously, they weren't, but I, of course, came from a generation way before cell phones and pagers even, and even before cordless telephones.
Oh, I remember when pagers were cool.
Yeah, I do too. And nowadays, I forget my cell phone at home and I go to work and
my God.
Oh, God forbid, and I feel naked. I feel lost. I feel like there is a massive part of my life that I don't have anymore. And of course, if you ask me to rattle off even my own mother's phone number, I can't do it. I'm horrible with phone numbers nowadays because for so many years, it's been just quick access, one touch, and there's my Rolodex, as it were.
Hey, speaking of feeling like you're naked, you ever have that dream where you're walking around and you have your cell phone exposed? I hate that.
Hey, Tony, your cell phone's hanging out.
Of course, the model that I remember actually had the extendable antenna in my dream.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, no, I had one of those. You pull it out the top. Yep.
And it's so funny too watching because I actually saw the original Star Trek series as a kid. I mean, I think I was like 5-6 years old, and just loved that show. And there they were with the cell phones, the little flip communicators.
Yep.
And
phone.
no
I wish I could
antenna.
do-
Oh, it's like, we had walkie talkies and stuff, but this didn't even have an antenna. What the hell? How does it work? That's amazing. And now we walk around with these things with no antennas, visible antennas. Of course, they're there, but no visible antennas, and smaller than a Star Trek communicator.
and able to talk to somebody a world away.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just the away team.
No, and I remember a long distance phone call back in the day, and it sounded like crap. Now you pop on your cell phone and it sounds remarkable. You got the HD calling now, even so. Yeah, are we dependent on these? Absolutely. They talk about if there was an EMP event, an electromagnetic pulse, like a big solar flare or a nuclear device, ignited or exploded in the atmosphere, how it would wipe out anything with a microprocessor in it. And of course, it would throw us into the Stone Age, and we would be completely lost.
Lost as lost could be. It's really funny. There's all kinds of predictions about that happening. I remember an old, semi-old television show in which an EMP was exploded over the United States, and a science teacher had a old ham radio with tubes, and they were able to pull the old ham radio out with the actual tubes for everything that the transistors do these days, and make that radio work because the EMP didn't fry it. Now, I don't know how realistic that is, but it was kind of cool, especially since I was a licensed amateur radio operator at the time. So I thought, see, we're not just nerds. Yeah, we are. But we can talk about it because we'll have a radio that works.
Right. Well, we won't have the internet to broadcast it, anything like that, like we do nowadays. But yeah, nonetheless, I do think we are too dependent on it, and I don't think there's any safety protocols in place, at least not good enough for the masses to protect us from such a loss were it to happen. Obviously, there'd be a lot of rebuilding that would have to happen after such a thing, but nonetheless, I mean that's something that's not likely to happen. And I'm just going to continue using my Galaxy S5 as I do every day, and loving every minute of it.
Well, I don't know how unlikely it is to happen because there's a few nations arming up with nuclear weapons, and I could see North Korea or Iran here in the next couple of years, although I think they're probably further along than what we've been led to believe. That they could say, oh no, U.S. a missile got away from us, and don't turn our backyard into glass, and we're going to detonate it, and then they detonate it high above the United States, and that could be a preemptive strike to an invasion from China, Russia, whatever Russia is called these days, especially these days with the way Putin's acting.
Ooh, yeah.
How can you be a bad guy with a name like Putin?
That's a whole nother can of worms that we can get into is the whole Russia thing. But really, I mean, Iran or any of those Middle Eastern nations, they don't have the rocket technology, I believe, at least not, that we know of, to deliver a payload like that over U.S. airspace. Even North Korea is obviously had a very hard time getting it up. Mm-hmm. Getting those rockets up, into a U.S. air, up into a high enough altitude to reach U.S. airspace. There's really just plain and simply isn't too many nations that have the kind of intercontinental ballistic missile technology to deliver a nuclear payload into U.S. airspace to make that sort of thing happen. Now, obviously, we have things in the solar system that can produce such. The same sort of effect, even globally. Mm-hmm. So that unto itself is something that we may have to watch out for.
Yeah. It just dawned on me, the most recent attack on the United States, like maybe the only attack other than Pearl Harbor, was the 9/11 attack on the trade towers in New York. So I'm thinking, I wonder how high a nuclear device has to be exploded above the ground to create an EMP effect. And I wonder if you could take a commercial airliner and put a I mean, you'd have to know what the right transponder codes and stuff would be to get into the airspace, but I think you could possibly fly a commercial jet from another country and then pop up in the United States airspace. And well, I guess New York would be a pretty good target from the standpoint of being closest to the water.
Well, yeah, you also have the New York Stock Exchange, which obviously is the hub for our U.S. economy. So it definitely would be probably top of the list target wise. But I mean, I keep going back to I have a big conspiracy theory about that one missing Malaysian flight that is still not found.
It's still in the air. Well, actually, they're flying over the dinosaurs right now. If you remember the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or whatever that was.
Yep, circling the Bermuda Triangle. But no, I mean, you were talking about transponder codes and stuff like that. I think it's very easy. Would be very easy for them to take this missing Malaysian flight and mask it like another U.S. flight and bring it in under radar, suddenly maybe above radar. I don't know exactly how they're going to get it into U.S. airspace, but I'm pretty sure that it's possible. And on board of that would be a dirty bomb or a thermonuclear device of some kind or another.
I remember now that you mentioned that. I actually thought that was going to be a terroristic plot when that plane went missing, because it was like an inside job pilot type thing, and it just it just disappeared, and they never found anything about it. Found out anything, any crash wreckage or anything. So I'm like, this was flown someplace, landed. More than likely, the passengers were all, I'll say, terminated, dispatched, and now they're waiting for the right time to fly it back in. And I mean, obviously, I don't think that anybody would go, "Oh, they're back. It was a time warp. Okay, come on over. Can I get the first interview?" But so obviously they'd have to do something to make it plausible that it's not the flight you think it is. But yeah, I could certainly see that being used as a weapon of mass destruction, not necessarily for nuclear attack, but just flying into another building, or better yet, one of the government facilities anywhere in the world. I mean, Israel or the United States, or things are really hot in Israel right now. I actually get a bit off topic, but I guess that's what the point of doing this this random chat on these topics were. I was I can't remember the young lady's name. She played Blossom, and now she's in The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah.
And even if I could remember it, I probably couldn't pronounce it. But anyway, I follow her on Twitter, and she made a comment about something about Israel or something the other day. And my comment was, perhaps it's the area of the country that I live in, but I never heard of anything anti-Jewish here in Southeast Texas. I mean, nothing major. I mean, maybe something in passing. So I don't quite get the whole anti-Jewish thing. And several days after that post, I had a guy come in and start talking to me on Twitter about it. And it was confusing at first, because it was almost like I thought he was on the same side that I was. And he was like pointing out that a couple of people in Texas, a couple of political leaders in Texas had made some anti-Jewish statements, which I don't know if is true or not. I've never heard of it. Anyway, we went back and forth for a while, and he was trying to box me in that Israel were just a bunch of child killers.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I just kind of made my position very clear that I support Israel, and I don't believe that these shields, I mean kids, is what Israel's target is. I think their target is, the 1,000 rockets that has been shot into their city.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell? Why aren't you? I mean, who in their right mind would want to sit there and allow somebody to just at will launch these rockets into your country? You need to do something about it. And one of those things to do would be go get the people that are shooting the rockets in.
Yeah, and there's the whole discussion about all the tunnels that they've been finding and blowing up and stuff like that, and where that's going and how they're being done and dug so fast and how deep do they go and the network of them and everything else. I mean, it's fine with the you got the Iron Dome and you got the other side launching rockets aplenty at you, but then you've got the Trojan horse, as it were, almost under your feet. But hey, speaking of using kids as shields, this might be in poor taste, but we've got a shooting in Ferguson, Missouri, that's been in the news quite a bit lately, and this echoes a lot of that whole Trayvon Martin thing that went down. What was that, last year?
Well, I would say similar. I don't know that I would say echoes. Just based on what I know about it, it wasn't a armed vigilante. Which I don't think that was the case in the Trayvon Martin thing, but still, this was a cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a white cop, and the victim is young black man. I think he was about 17 or 18 years old. There were a couple of witnesses, and there's some mixed reports that are coming out around this. The police report says one thing, the eyewitness accounts say another. Nonetheless, we have a white cop who has not been named, and a young black man who's dead, and who was shot several times. And the story goes that they were stopped. Him and another individual were stopped, and there was a struggle with the police. And this one kid went for the cop's gun, didn't get it. And the cop fired at him. The other side of the story is that the kid had surrendered. I say kid, he was 18, as a young man, whatever. Had surrendered. His hands were in the air. This is the eyewitness accounts. His hands were in the air, and the cop shot him nonetheless. There's been a massive uproar about this. There's been protests. There's been riots. There's been vandalism. There's been looting and stuff like that. I mean, there's, dozens of people have been arrested. There was another shooting kind of in the wake of all this. It was proved not to be related or anything. It was just a guy waved a cop at a gun, and of course the cop shot the guy. I don't know if he's dead or not, but it was a completely unrelated incident. But nonetheless, there is a lot of officer involved shootings going on lately. There's been several here in my neck of the woods just in the last 3 or 6 months, and obviously this is a big one considering the kid was unarmed at the time of his death.
Well, I know that it's never good when a young man loses his life, and I'll go out on a limb here. I'm not saying that this young man was or his friends in this case were lying about it, but there's something interesting that criminals do, and that's called lying. They don't tell the truth, so it's always a possibility that the people didn't like the cop shooting this kid, and they're lying to try to get the cop in trouble.
That's very, very possible. I mean, I know that the public there is demanding that they release the name of the officer. Because they want to know whether or not he was involved in any other, incidences like this in the past. The police force is saying, well, having
police extinguish all cell phones during the show.
Terribly unprofessional. Releasing this officer's name is not going to solve anything. If anything, it may make things worse. What they need to focus on is the investigation and everything surrounding this. I mean, the FBI is getting involved. Obviously, Jesse Jackson is on the scene.
Oh, it's solved. It's over. It's taken care of. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. So, this is that's why I'm saying it's very similar to the whole Trayvon Martin shooting in the sense of, was there, civil rights that were violated? Is this going to, cause that much of an uproar with other people and obviously minorities and people of color That's where a lot of this unrest is stemming from. I think is the racial gap.
It's understandable, and I don't like the idea of one of my kids being shot, especially if even if they did go for a gun and was wrestling with the officer. Certainly, something you shouldn't do. But if they are unarmed and they come to their senses and say, "Hey, sorry, I shouldn't have done that," hands raised. I would not expect them to be shot. And yes, I would be really, really upset if I heard that I would be upset with my son if he had attacked a police officer. And I would be very upset with the officer, even if he didn't shoot him, even if he just hauled off and hit him, because it's not professional behavior for a police officer to get, it's natural for anybody, any human emotion to, the human emotion of anger because of you trying to hurt me. But as a police officer, as a professional, and this is one of the reasons why I don't think I'd ever be able to be a cop, is like to differentiate yourself from, it's not personal type thing. Even though this person was probably trying to kill me, I can't take it personal because my job is to use as much force as necessary to subdue and arrest them, if indeed that is the
force. Reasonable force is the term that would be used there, and that is something that that most officers are aware of. I mean, these are highly trained individuals. They have expertise in things that none of us typically are ever engaged in.
Mm-hmm.
But when that training and the restraint to use that training appropriately goes out the window, that's when you end up with instances like this.
Well, I think I've mentioned this. Maybe it was off the air, and this may not be a very good comparison, but a while back I was a administrator on a game site, and there was several of us that we would get on there and mess around, and we would pick on each other with our administrative powers during the game. And if we found a particularly ass type person, we would take turns picking on that person. We would drop them from high distances so that they would either die or they would lose all their health. And the parallel I'm making here is, if you're cruising around and you're the law, I am the law, and you have a gun and people respect you, fear and respect you, I think after a while, that kind of gets to you, that you are this demigod at best, and you better watch out. I am representing the law. You have to do what I say. There's penalties for not doing what a cop tells you to do, asking for ID or telling you to, sit down in sit down there. There's a fire ant mound. I don't care. Sit down there. It's this power that they supposedly have over us. And I think that anybody would have a problem not using that power in one way or another. And I think that's what we see whenever you see people on the ground with, 5 cops holding them down, and one walks up and kicks the person in the head. Wait a minute. That head was going to go off any minute, so I had to stop it. No, it's right for us. It's just, it's, I think it's an abuse of power, and I think everybody is susceptible to it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It takes a certain kind of person to be a cop, and it takes a certain kind of person to be a bad cop, I guess.
Yeah.
And this abuse of power, it's not just police. I mean, you give somebody a clipboard and all of a sudden they're powerful.
True. Yeah, that's very true. You can also position can often cause a situation where there's power. It's pretty funny. I saw one of those little, I guess it's a meme on Facebook the other day. And it was like a construction crew, and there was this lady, nice looking lady, but she looked like she was probably from an office environment, and glasses and a hard hat, and she had a big clipboard. And I think the meme says, doesn't know how your job is done except by the book. Like they're out, she's out there telling you you're doing your job wrong. Never has done the job, but she learned it from a book, so she's there to keep you straight and make sure you do your job right. And I understand that's like managers that have to manage you, but yet they have no earthly idea how to do the job. And the thing that scares me is some of them don't care. I mean, talk about useless employees. If all you're doing is being a manager, what are you making? You're just guiding and directing people. I understand that could be a big deal, but I don't, it would be scary for me. I'm a technical type person though.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and there's a lot of going on in this investigation that they haven't released yet. Obviously, this is an ongoing investigation, so as they start, putting things together, I'm sure the information will start to disseminate and come out to us. But until then, there's a lot of people that have a lot to say about this. And, I don't necessarily have one opinion, or another, specifically in regards to, well, who is right and who is wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, there seems to be a lot more abuse of police power in the last few years, it seems like.
Well, but I wonder if there's a reason for it. I wonder if there's more criminal activity, or there's more political activity that is empowering people to feel like they can come out and get away with these things, where they can say this is what happened simply because they want to have more free reign. What is it when kids, whenever there's a substitute teacher? Oh yeah, well, Mrs. Randall always let us do this, or Mrs. Randall always let us do that, because they're doing this pressure thing on the individual so they can get their way. I wonder if there's any of that going on, and there's the officer involved shootings are legitimate, but it's just being told in such a way that it makes it seem like it's not. I know what you mean, though. That just seems like it's happening a lot more, and I can't imagine a good reason for shooting somebody that isn't armed, that isn't attacking you. But I don't know the facts of the case. It's all hearsay at this point.
Yeah, right. I'm with you there on that one. I mean, even if you had a stick in your hand or something like that, I mean, that's not necessarily considered a deadly weapon. And sure, if I was Chuck Norris, my hands could be considered a deadly weapon. Yeah. But, this young black 18-year-old was not a deadly weapon, at least as far as we know. Everything that's been released up to this point, he was, for all intents and purposes, unarmed. Now, was he or was he not going for the cop's gun? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know that information absolutely.
Yeah.
And even if he was, I don't believe that is a call for deadly force, especially if he was unsuccessful.
Well, I mean, if he got the gun, then the cop couldn't have shot him, but that certainly would have been endangering the police officer's life. But since he didn't get the gun, I don't see why he has to be shot unless they're struggling with the gun, or there's a possibility that he might get the gun from the officer. So yeah, I think that in the slow, very, very slow process, especially for parents of any child that gets killed by an officer, but I believe that the long and methodical process will probably come out with the evidence, and I think very much so. The people that doubt the legitimate, if it comes out like the cop did this, and he was justified, and so on and so forth. If they don't think that's legitimate, then yeah, they should raise holy hell. They shouldn't go looting a convenience store and then setting it on fire. I mean,
right.
What the hell? I mean, what does that make any sense? I mean, that to me, that just makes you look like you're crazy. And if you're crazy, why would I want to listen to you?
And why punish the rest of the community, especially those who are, trying to make a living, trying to make a business, and you torch the place? I mean, come on, and looting, breaking windows, vandalism, looting. I mean, come on. What does that prove? I mean, if you want to do that sort of stuff and you're pissed about the cops, shooting this kid, well, go do that to the police precinct.
Oh, exactly.
Do it at the convenience store. That guy had nothing to do with nothing.
Well, he probably wasn't black, so that was probably the reason why I think it's just it's target of opportunity. So I'm sorry, I'm getting too far into this thing. I don't know the facts of the case. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I very much hope that justice is served, and if the police officer did not act appropriately, that he's punished appropriately, because a clear signal needs to be sent to all police officers, no matter what race, religion, or anything that they are. They need to do their job in the proper way. So anyway, let's get on to Robin Williams, because I definitely wanted to say a few words about Robin Williams here before we wrap up for the night.
Definitely one of my favorite comedians and actors. Grew up watching this guy, and just talk about, I mean, so many guys have called him a mensch. He just such a good guy. He's so talented. There's not enough good things to say about Robin Williams. And then he goes and takes his own life.
Well, let me say something. Let me say something bad.
Yeah.
Drug abuse, alcohol abuse.
True.
Question: womanizing?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I recently saw something from another comedian that kind of bothered me. It was, I don't trust somebody that hasn't had an addiction. In other words, they didn't trust. I mean, I'm sure it was tongue in cheek, but there's got to be a little something there. So you're telling me that if you've never had an alcohol, drug addiction, that they don't trust you. It's like somehow you're not a real person. You're not a trustable person simply because you didn't choose to go down that road. And I'll just say it. This whole Robin Williams thing pisses me off. I could be totally off base here. Maybe I'm just being very selfish about it, but I really enjoyed Robin Williams and what he did. And I think that if you choose to be an entertainer and put your life out there, much like it is legal for people to take pictures of you, I think that your life doesn't just belong to you anymore. I think that it is your responsibility to not necessarily entertain the rest of your life, but at least have that possibility and not take it. Don't take your life, because your life is no longer your own. You gave a part of that life to the people that you're entertaining. And I personally suicide just pisses me off.
Well, they say it's the coward's way out, as it were. Now, I'm not going to pretend for a minute to try and put myself into Robin Williams' shoes and understand what he was going through. Obviously, he has battled addiction. From what I understand and from what I've read, he didn't have any financial woes. I mean, he was doing very well for himself as a man of his stature. You would imagine he would have. Mm-hmm. That being said, there's been a stigmata that has surrounded a lot of comedians, especially very successful comedians, that a lot of the comedy comes from a very, very dark place, regardless of their ability to make you laugh into hysterics and cry even from so much joy. And of course, he always, a lot of his characters were so happy. Mm-hmm. And his voiceover, his work with Disney and stuff, just absolutely, top tier and very, very happy and joyful. But all of that and that talent, typically, when you're in that echelon of talent, comes from a very dark place. You'll hear a lot of people talk about other comedians who are very funny, that their personal lives, what goes on behind the scenes, is very dark and tragic. But on the stage, and when they are on, as it were, you never know. You'd never be able to tell. But once they're off the stage and behind closed doors, it's a very different story.
Well, I will say that I was very, very shocked that whenever I actually saw it come across Twitter, that it was just a very simple R.I.P. Robin Williams. And I went, okay, this is another one of those deals. And I looked it up, and sure enough, there was actually bona fide news stories coming out about that. And I thought to myself, how is that possible? He's not that old. He didn't have any problems, any medical problems that I was aware of. How could he just pass away like that? There was just nothing going on. And and very selfishly, and I think that when somebody dies, I think that is the epitome of selfishness on our part, because we get upset, so we get angry, and the only reason why we do those things is because we think of ourselves. How am I going to get along without this individual, whether it be a celebrity or a loved one? we're thinking of ourselves, not the person that died. The person that died, in my opinion, is having a grand old time. They're seeing and doing things they never thought or even thought were possible. I can just well imagine what an atheist must think whenever they pass away and go, "Uh-oh."
Now what?
I hope I'm still right about God, but there is an afterlife, So I could well imagine it would be pretty funny. I'd love to get the reaction of an atheist once they pop into that secondary existence and they go, "Okay, what's going on? Oh, this is just random firing of neurons in my brain." But anyway,
right.
just to be clear, loved Robin Williams, very funny. First saw him on the Mork and Mindy show. Very much enjoyed it. Some of his comedy routines were just off the wall, strange, funny. The associations that he would make were just incredible. And selfishly, it pisses me off that he took his life. I don't care, short of constant physical pain. And even at that, I still think there's got to be something in medical science that you could do to keep from killing yourself. Life is a gift. And the other thing that bothers me is this seems to me to be a huge celebration of somebody that took their own life. And, God bless him, literally. I'm sorry he's not here, but what is this telling other people, other would-be suicides? Hey, look, Robin Williams killed himself, and look at how everybody just loves him. He's bigger than Michael Jackson was when Michael Jackson passed away. I won't get that kind of reaction, but maybe I'll get that reaction from a few people, and I'm going to do it too.
That's a bit of a reach, in my opinion, because of the accolades that Robin Williams has received over the years, the work that he has been involved in. Now, yeah, he had some trouble with some drugs and alcohol. Anybody who comes into fame during the 80s, I think there's a lot of celebrities who came to fame during the 80s that struggled with drugs and alcohol. And Robin Williams obviously was no exception. He overcame that adversity. And I think that he moved on and became even better at at his art, because of that. Am I saying that, that you, in order to be at the caliber of Robin Williams, you have to go through drug and alcohol addiction? No, absolutely not. But having overcome adversity, I believe, makes a person stronger. And obviously a person like Robin Williams, his talent, I think, became a little stronger as well. Having seen the dark side of the moon, as it were, he was able to come back from that and maybe appreciate life a little bit better. I don't know. Nonetheless, I mean, there's the internet right now is flooded with quotes and quips and clips and so much from Robin Williams. I believe it's that people are celebrating because he had so much work out there, so many good movies, so many good voiceovers, so much involvement in so much that is pop culture. That having that now be at a loss. Now the culture, American culture, Hollywood, movies, celebrity culture has lost an iconic individual, and it's anytime you lose somebody, you don't necessarily mourn their death. Of course, you do that. There is a process, but you celebrate their life, and I think that's a lot of what's going on right now.
Well, I don't think I think you could celebrate their life, but I think you ought to temper it with how it ended. And when an individual chooses to take their own life, I don't think that I think it should be made clear we celebrate the life of this individual and not how they ended their own life. I think it's a bad sign. I think it's a bad thing to share with the kids. I don't like it. I certainly don't like the drug and alcohol aspect of like what you were just saying. I almost heard some perhaps words of respect from you because of what Robin Williams went through. I have a lot more respect for an individual that is in that industry and isn't into drugs and alcohol. I mean, alcohol, of course, is legal, and you can take alcohol and not be addicted to it. But personally, and that's kind of our culture. If an individual's not smoking or smoking pot or doing drugs or drinking alcohol or womanizing, they're somehow less of an individual, somehow less of somebody that you can identify with, a goody two shoes, and they start picking on them for that. I mean, what was it, Tebow, the Christian quarterback, and how everybody was as down on him, and who was the other guy that I forget what his name. I'm not a sports fan. The guy that was raising pit bulls and fighting them, Vic something. And,
Michael Vick.
Yeah, and Michael Vick. I mean, certainly everybody came down on him whenever that came out. But here's an unsavory individual that people aren't saying a damn thing about until it comes out that he's killing dogs. I mean, come on. This is to me is this more of the same with Robin Williams. Loved him, gonna miss him because when Robin Williams was alive, there was always a possibility that I could look forward to a good laugh, good entertainment from him. And with him taking his own life, that is no longer available. All I am able to do is go back and listen or look at his many, many prior accomplishments. And to me, that is a huge loss at the age of 63 years old.
Too young.
There was 20, 30, with medical science, who knows, many, many years of entertainment. And I understand what I'm saying is very selfish because I'm talking about my entertainment and not Robin Williams' peace of mind. But whenever you end your life, any possibility of your life getting better is over.
Well, obviously. I mean, look, he acknowledged the issues that he was battling. He checked himself into I don't know if it was rehab, but he was getting help for depression. He was clinically
hats
depressed.
off. I'm really glad that my wife told me about that, and I felt a lot better about it.
He also had some other social anxiety issues of sorts. I heard a friend of his, and I'm brain farting on the name, but he explained it like this, and this is somebody who knew Robin Williams for over 30 years, said that if Robin was in an elevator with a single person, he probably wouldn't have ever said a word. The moment that somebody else walked in, there was an audience. And that's when Robin really woke up. And that's when he became the Robin Williams that we all know, is when there was an audience and he was able to be on and he could go in and make something of the situation, regardless of what it was or where it was or anything like that. But he had this social anxiety of sorts that, one-on-one, he was very uncomfortable in his own skin. But the moment there were other people around, he became a different person almost. Not in the sense of bipolar or Jekyll and Hyde or anything like that. Again, it's just in a sort of social anxiety type of issue. Whether or not that's something that he was able to overcome over time, I don't know. Whether that contributed to, added to, exacerbated his depression, I don't know. Maybe it was that's what caused the depression. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to figure that out. But hats off to him for recognizing his own shortcomings and being able to overcome them, or at least try and get help for them, like overcoming the drug and alcohol abuse, or for seeking out help for depression. So in the end, it got him. And that's what the media is really trying to focus on. I've been seeing all the radio reports, the TV reports, everything. They hail him for his accomplishments. They mourn him for the loss. And in the same breath, they're talking about, if you know somebody who's going through depression, help them. Yeah, there are means out there to, they're giving away phone numbers. They're giving away websites. They're talking about, avenues for people to get help who have depression, so that suicide becomes less and less on their radar, becomes less of an option for these people who are struggling with this disease.
I just can't help. I mean, when I went through my divorce and my two boys were not going to be in my life every day, I got severely depressed, and I would wake up and look outside, and the sun was bright, the birds were chirping. It was just a really, really beautiful day. And I just pissed me off because I felt so bad. I could not enjoy the day. I logically could look and see how beautiful it was outside and think how lucky I was to be alive and able to have a life like this. But I still was very depressed because of what I was going through. And because of that, that depression that I went through and the struggle that I went through before I started feeling better, which wasn't a day, it wasn't a week, it was several weeks. I'm just generally not a depressed person. So that was really hard for me. And I was able to get through it. And I understand I'm sure it was just minor compared to what other people have gone through, and probably just minor from what Robin went through. And I'm not trying to come across as some expert, but because I stuck with it and believed that things would get better, they slowly did. And eventually I met this wonderful woman and married her and had these two beautiful kids. And my life was just infinitely better, not because of what I had gone through, but just because I had, met a better person that was more compatible with me and my beliefs and ideas and a hell of a lot prettier than my ex-wife, which always helps. But the personality is what's really key, how you mesh with a person. And had I taken my life during that wave of depression I went through, I would never have found these wonderful individuals, which includes my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and how wonderfully they've treated me, as good as or better than my family from genetic similarity family. So I guess it's one of the reasons why it pisses me off, and why I say when you end your life, it's not going to get any better. I mean, yeah, it's a duh type thing, but the reason why I say that is because if you end your life, it isn't going to get any better. It's not going, you are removing the possibility for your life to improve. And in my case, thankfully, it did. It has been absolutely wonderful after that hell I went through. And yeah, to a degree, it helped me appreciate what I had and what I have now. But it was a stark contrast. So even if I hadn't have gone through the depression, I still would have realized this is a much happier portion of my life. And that's all I'm trying to say. And that's really the basis for me being, or part of it anyway, for me being upset that Robin ended his life, because it can't get any better for him. He went out on a low note, basically.
Yeah, it's true, and really, I don't think there's anybody that is at more of a loss than his family, and they're obviously their lives. It's going to take quite a long time for their lives to get better.
Yeah. Well, we ran over a bit tonight, but I felt it was important for us to get this thing out with Robin Williams, because I know I wanted to speak about it, and I'm sure you did too, Josh.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been weighing heavy on my mind, and obviously it's something that is important to both Tony and I, and important to much of the world, in fact. So we at least had to touch on it.
Yep. And if you're watching the live feed on YouTube, or watching the recorded on YouTube, no, Josh isn't an amazing pantomime able to statue himself. We've just been having video problems tonight. And gee, Josh, what have you reconnected like 4 or 5 times?
At least, yeah. So
that's so strange.
Sorry for our live listeners, and hopefully the audio at least was there for you guys and holding out.
Audio's been great.
Great. So we'll get the other technical issues worked out for next week. Hope you guys are able to join us, and make sure you're telling a friend about the show. And hop over to TonyandJoshShow.com or TonyandJosh.com, and check out the entire show archive, and watch all 34 episodes if you'd like. At least listen to them through podcast. Go ahead and leave us a voicemail through that speak pipe there on our website. We'd love to hear from you.
So I'll just say really quick. James Lipton closed his questionnaire portion of his very popular show. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say at the pearly gates? And Robin Williams' answer was, there's seating in the front, the concert begins at 5. It'll be Mozart, Elvis, and any one of your choosing. Thanks a lot for all the entertainment, Robin. I wish I had an opportunity to tell you just how much your efforts meant to me and my life, making it a little bit happier. So hope you can hear it or hope you can feel it wherever you are.
Godspeed, buddy.
So like we were saying, make sure that you join us on, we're on Facebook, we're on the Twitter. I always like saying the Twitter. It sounds like, the guy in the yard saying, "You kids, get out of my yard." And we're also on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tony and Josh Show, where you can see a video. If you're not familiar with the live show, you can go over there and see a video and see what you can expect. And most of the time you can expect not to have frozen screens.
Oh, so with frozen screen and good audio, this is Josh.
This is Tony. See you guys next week for episode 36.
Bye-bye.
Just so damn strange, Josh.
I don't know what's going on. Skype is just not liking me today. We've never had to go through this before. This is something completely new.
Yeah. Have you upgraded Skype recently? I mean, I had to on my laptop, but I don't think it's been updated here on my desktop, at least not by my will.
Normally I get a notification, so I'm going to hit the check for updates button, and it says you already have the latest version of Skype installed, so I should be good to go.
Well, I'm wondering if that's the problem, the latest version of Skype.
I wonder if I can downgrade.
There's
anything.
The funny thing is, it would run about maybe a minute and then lock up.
Yeah, that's weird. And see, it's frozen right now, right?
Oh yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm in the Skype options and in the video settings, and in the display window, I've got it's not frozen on my end, obviously. So, but yeah, I had the YouTube live show up and watching this, and yeah, it'd freeze, and no bueno.
Can you? Is there a little button where you can turn the video off and turn it back on?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, I can turn off video. And let's see if I can turn it back on.
And you're moving again.
Oh, well, there we go. At least now we know a quick fix, and I don't have to completely disconnect altogether.
Right. I don't know, but I don't know. I wish there was a way that I could let you know. I'm sorry, I wish there was a way you would know. And I wouldn't have to let you know. That way you could just hit the button. Like, oh, it froze? Okay, fine. Click, click.
Yeah, because there's been no interruption on my end.
And I'm not kidding. The audio has been great. So maybe they've done something programming-wise where they give the audio so much attention that whenever the signal gets bad, instead of messing with the audio level, they just freeze the video.
Well, here's the thing: is that even when I've gotten the notification, signal strength is not that good, it just notify, I see the thing go red or whatever, and but video hasn't froze. I mean, the audio quality might diminish a little bit, but all things considered, it would still function normally.
Mm-hmm.
This is just weird.
I wonder if there's a setting inside of Skype that allows you to choose the balance priority between the audio and the video. Man, God bless Skype, but I wish we could find something else.
Yeah, you're telling me. No, I'm not. I haven't seen anything.
Oh, I bet you if it is a new a artifact of the new version, I bet you it would there would be more than one person complaining about it. So I bet you if you do a Google search, you'll probably see something along the lines of, why is my video freezing on Skype so much? I'll try to remember to look while I'm at work or doing something here that's not requiring much of my brain activity.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can clear the cookies. Might help open it up a little bit.
Police in Ferguson demanded the media put their cameras away, begging the question, what don't they want us to see?
Interesting.
I think that you ought to be able to tell the police to shove it up their ass if they want you to put down your camera. No?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if this is everywhere. Maybe I've mentioned this before, but I did see a thing on a local Fox affiliate where it is legal for you to video a police officer during a traffic stop.
Yeah, there is a group here in Portland that's all they do. They shadow as much of the Portland Police Department as they can. I mean, going around with scanners and stuff, going to see, where there's an active whatever traffic stop or, there's been a shooting or a robbery or, something like that. And there's these people and straight up with cell phones and camcorders recording.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's wonderful. And
it's an exercise of First Amendment, I believe.
I don't want the cops not to be able to do their job, but by the same token, I just want them doing their job. And personally, I mean, the only reason why I can think that they still do things that they're not supposed to do is because they get away with it so much.
Right.
Because to me, I would be really concerned about where's that security camera that's, recording me as I kick this guy who's down, being held down by cops, and I kick this guy on the side or the head or whatever, because that happens. You see it so much. And of course you have to beg the question, how often is that happening? If you see it this often, how often must that be going on? And it's not right. I mean, I understand that you're pissed off and this person is a bad actor and you don't think that the court system is going to hand out justice, so you're going to take your shot while you have the opportunity. I get that. I do. But it's what the risk of your career that you're going to step over the line simply because don't think the court's going to do their job. I mean, go run for office and make a change. There's a lot more things that you can do besides kicking somebody in the head.
Yeah, right. Goes back to your training.
Yeah. It's a hell of a job. I don't think I could do it. Cause I know I would feel the same way that, they're just going to let this person out and I'm gonna have to deal with them again. Why are they just churning them out? If more people would refuse the job of police officer, maybe some things would change.
Well, there's been some outlying counties in my area that have had a very hard time with funding lately. And in fact, there's one county where they've had to shut down their sheriff's department. They simply just don't have the money to pay the sheriffs.
Mm-hmm.
There's let's see what else there's precincts that are having to eliminate all but essential personnel out of the force. It's just whether I don't know how much a cop makes. I don't imagine their salary is really that huge. I mean, I'm sure there's a fairly decent. You get a pension and the whole PERS and everything else like that. But I can't see that that the funding for police and fire fall to the wayside. Those are things that we need. We don't need crooked cops. We don't need a cop on every corner. But we need patrols. We need to have them out there. Do we need them pulling over every person that goes 5 miles an hour over the speed limit? No.
Or every black person simply because they fit the description.
Driving while black. Get them.
It's just, I don't blame black people for getting pissed off. It would piss me off if I walked into a place or drove a car and the cops were eyeballing me like they're waiting for me to do something wrong. I mean, just because I'm white doesn't mean I'm going to shoot a black kid. Just because I'm black doesn't mean that I'm not an upstanding individual. Cycle your video again because it stopped.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty cool though. This one stopped on a good shot. Nice smile,
Oh,
Not one of those.
I catch mid yawn like it was just a second ago.
So yeah, that fixes it. It comes right back. It gives the nice shot of you, the image that you have set up on Skype for whenever there's not a video. So it kind of goes from you to live view.
Yeah. I'll have to take a still, with this background and everything. And
yes, static you to real you, to
right,
live
yeah.
you.
Almost a seamless transition.
So here's some stuff that I took notes on that I'll share with anybody that's still watching, still listening. Back in 1974, when he auditioned for the role of Mork from Mork on Happy Days, producer Gary Marshall told him to sit down, and Robin sat in the chair but on his head. Apparently Marshall liked him because he got the role. You're frozen. Robin graduated from Redwood High School, which is just north of San Francisco. He played soccer at Claremont's Men's College and studied acting at Juilliard with Christopher Reeves. Yes, Superman.
Oh.
He was voted least likely to succeed in high school. And did we mention the Oscars, Golden Globes, Emmys, a slew of others, and he has a total of 55 wins and 67 nominations. I'd say his fellow grads got that one wrong. So
yeah, really.
I don't have it here in front of me, but I did read that when Christopher Reeves was in the hospital and he was facing a surgery, and this is after his accident, and he was facing a surgery in which he had about a 50% chance of surviving.
Oh, boy.
Robin Williams, dressed as a doctor with a surgical mask, burst into his hospital room, yelling with a very thick Russian accent, and just going nuts. There in his room prior to, I don't know if it was hours or a day prior to the surgery, and just really lifted Christopher Reeve's spirits.
That is just fantastic.
Yeah, could you imagine having a personal show from Robin Williams?
Oh, well, I don't know if you saw do you know who Norm Macdonald is?
Yes.
Okay, so he tweeted something.
This is Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, he tweeted something about his first encounter with Robin Williams, and it goes a little something like this. And this is Norm Macdonald's his own words. It was my first stand-up appearance on David Letterman, and I had to follow the funniest man in the world.
Oh no!
I was a punk kid from rural Ontario, and I was in my dressing room, terrified. I was on the phone to a friend back home when the funniest man in the world ambled by. There was no one else on the floor, and in shock, I told my friend who had just walked by, only the funniest man in the world. I guess he heard me say his name, because in an instant, he was at my side. He was a Jewish tailor, taking my measurements. He went down on his knees, asked which way I dressed. I told my friend on the phone that the funniest man in the world was on his knees before me, measuring my inseam. My friend didn't believe me, so I said, "Could you talk to my friend, sir?" The funniest man in the world took the phone and for 10 minutes took my friend's Chinese food order. I laughed and laughed, and it was like I was in a dream because no one else was there. No one. The place was out of Mushu pork, and there was nothing he could do about it. He angrily hung up on my friend, and I was about to thank him when he said, I hadn't even tried the jacket on. The funniest man on earth dressed me, a complete stranger, and I remember he ended with a Windsor knot. He spoke mostly Yiddish, but when he finished, he was happy with his job, turned me to a mirror to present myself to me. No one witnessed any of this. No one. The funniest man alive was in my dressing room, a good half hour, and this was far funnier than the set I had to do soon. All of a sudden, had to. When he left my dressing room, I felt alone as I ever remember feeling. Until today. That was from Norm Macdonald tweeting about his first encounter with Robin Williams.
That's hilarious.
That is, I mean, to have experienced that,
yeah.
I can only imagine Robin Williams coming in and is a Jewish tailor, and just all of a sudden, boom, in character, and starts taking measurements and all this stuff and dressing you, and then handing him the phone and going into a completely different character and, taking a friend's Chinese food order for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. That's pretty cool because now at least Norm can talk to his friend. Hey, you remember that time?
Right.
That was Robin Williams. That was great. So let's see. In 1996, Robin Williams reached a amazing milestone, for which many actors can ever claim. He had two movies both reach the 100 million mark in the same week in the U.S. Can you name the movies? If you said Jumanji and The Birdcage, you're right.
I can't believe that The Birdcage made $100 million in a week.
With the way they promoted Jumanji, I can believe that one did. Even though I wasn't a big fan of Jumanji, I did like Bonnie Hunt in it. I think that was the first time that I'd ever seen Bonnie Hunt in anything, and I thought she was pretty funny in that. But became a fan of hers because of that movie. Seeing her in other things, she's pretty funny. I actually follow her on Twitter. Let's see. We adore Robin Williams, but who does he idolize? Now, I knew the first one. I didn't know about the second one. Two other greats, Jonathan Winters and Richard Pryor. Now, I did do a tweet about I feel that when Robin approached the gates in heaven, Jonathan Winters would be there to welcome him in.
Jonathan Winters reminds me of my grandfather so much. I swear they were separated at birth.
Wow.
The facial expressions, the sense of humor, so much about him reminds me of my grandfather.
Jonathan Winters was hilarious. I remember him when I was really little, and some of the goofy off the wall stuff he would come up with. So I can definitely see Robin Williams idolizing him because a lot of what he did, I mean, it was like 10 times Jonathan Winters. I mean, as nutty as Jonathan Winters was, Robin Williams was like 10 times that in how he would do things. But you can certainly see that because some of the off the wall Jonathan Winters stuff Jonathan Winters would come up with. Jonathan Winters had some show. I'm barely remembering it now that he had some sort of show in which it was like the Jonathan Winters show or something, and he was in a
Jonathan Winters,
and he was
Jonathan Winters show, yeah.
And he was like in an attic, and there was all kinds of crap like you would find in storage, and he would just react. If I'm remembering this right, he would just react off of things and do little bits and stuff about what he was finding laying around.
Well, you remember he was on Mork and Mindy as well.
Yeah, towards the end of the series, he was Mork and Mindy's baby.
Yes, that's what it was. Yeah. Big baby.
Yeah. He was hatched from an egg. Yes. that would have been a really big egg to fertilize too. That'd be a lot of work. That's an all-day job right there. So let's see. I already read that one during the Robin Williams 2001 appearance and inside the actor's studio. James Lipson closed the questionnaire portion as he does with every guest with the following: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say at the pearly gates? You know, it's nice that he would ask those questions of everyone, but you know why he's asking, because you're going to die someday, and this is a quote that will be used upon your death, and it's always going to be associated with me, James Lipton.
Right. Yeah, there is a very strong undertone of narcissism there, but
I mean, I'm glad he did. It's a funny answer from Robin Williams, but still, it's like this person's going to die, so I'm going to ask this question of everybody.
I'll go through some famous quotes from Robin Williams that were put out here recently. Yes, divorce, from the Latin word meaning to rip out a man's genitals through his wallet. Yeah. And you are talking about the United States. You are a big country. You're the kindest country in the world. You are like a really nice apartment over a meth lab. Or no, I was talking about Canada. He said once, I think this is one of his stand-up routines, do you think God gets stoned? I think so. Look at the platypus. This is one that I think are wise words. I used to think the worst thing in life was to be alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is ending up with people who make you feel all alone.
I could see that would be a very real possibility. If you are around people that you met after you became mega famous, because why, rich or famous or both, why are they around? Why are they? I've always had that thing about, is somebody talking to me because they want to know me, they want to know more about me, or they're looking at an angle to sell me something in some way or another. And I would imagine that being mega rich and or mega famous would be very much like that. I'm not a big people person to start with, and I always question people's motives, especially, if they just walk up to me and start talking to me. People don't just walk up to me and start talking to me unless they're wanting to fight, and then I'm very talkative, very engaging.
There's two of probably the most famous quotes from Robin Williams, and these are saturating the internet right now. One of them, I think, is from Dead Poet Society. I can't remember. Seize the day, because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. And the other one, which I think is probably one of the most famous of all of them, is no matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world.
Yeah, they really can. I think Robin Williams made a difference in the world. I don't know, if nothing else, it made people laugh. And gosh, some of the stuff he came up with, I still repeat some of the things that he said in his comedy albums. Just so funny. Same thing with Steve Martin on that first comedy album that he came out with. And I have yet to get a response from Steve Martin, but I'm sure he's read some of my stuff. I'll make a comment at some sort of comment like, it's a profit deal. And I've actually gone as far as giving credit to at Steve Martin to go. A great philosopher once said, "I was born a poor black child." That is so strange. You just restarted the video and it's frozen again.
Frozen already. I don't know, man. It's Skype tonight. I don't know. It seems weird.
So do you want to do the promo thing, or you want me to give another try at, I got lots of stuff to edit from on this one. I have been recording this after show.
Yeah, we've got probably an hour and a half of audio to go through that you could pull some stuff from. You want to try both? 15 seconds of promo and pull 15 seconds of audio out, or is it one or the other sort of thing? It's up to you.
You know what I think we ought to do? We ought to do this week on the Tony and Josh show, and then go into the little thing, maybe say a little something that I can mix in. You know what I'm saying?
Just briefly touch on our talking points this week on the Tony and Josh show.
No. We'll have, you know how they do where they have the voiceover, and then they have the sections from the show, and then maybe they have another voiceover or voice insert, and then at the end it's like, and don't forget to miss us, and don't forget to miss us live. You know what I'm saying? Just at the end. So we don't really record a promo per se. We just say, hey, this week on the Tony and Josh show, or we both say it, or I start it, you say something in the middle, and then we remember Robin Williams, and then I can play several things that we've said about Robin Williams. Is that making sense?
Kind of.
So I would go like this week on the XJ Talk Show. This week on our that's fine. This week on the Tony and Josh show, and then blah 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 blah. Edits, and then you say, and we take a few extra moments to remember Robin Williams. So the first part will be things that we talked about before the Robin Williams thing, and then I'll put in the edits of after you say, and we had to take a few moments to discuss Robin Williams, and then that's all you say, and then I put in some of the Robin Williams clips, audio clips that we did, and then we'll finish up. We can both finish up with maybe you can start with. Don't forget to make sure you listen to episode 35 of the Tony and Josh show, and I say, see you there, or something where we both,
sign some sort of sign off. Yeah.
Right. And it can be pretty free-form because I'll be editing it. It doesn't have to be a contiguous thing. So why don't I start with this week on the this week on the Tony and Josh show. So let me just start with that one.
Okay.
And you got something you can say about
yeah, and I'll
Robin
say,
Williams?
and we take some, and we also take. I'm just typing this down at the bottom, so I have a script.
Oh, okay.
And
I'll
we
wait till you get done
take some
with
time
typing.
to remember the life and times of Robin Williams.
So just let me know when you're ready, and I'll actually cycle the audio here, audio recording.
Okay. I guess go for it. You want to count down?
I am going to go ahead and wrap up the video stream. So if you're here watching us tonight, thank you very much for taking time to be with us. And hopefully you will want to join us again next week. And hopefully we'll see you then. Not technically see you, but in spirit. And not the Robin Williams kind of spirit.
Okay, let's hope not.
Anyway, thanks for being here tonight, guys and lady.